Melissa Casias disappeared from Taos County, New Mexico on June 26, 2025. Nothing about that day was normal for her. And I'm going to break down the 3 strangest facts of this case and the 7 clues left behind that might tell us what happened. And I need you to spread the word. Here's what we know based on police reports that we obtained. On June 26, 2025, 53-year-old Melissa Casias drove herself and her husband, Mark, to Los Alamos National Laboratory, where they both worked similar shifts. Video surveillance shows Melissa arriving at a guard shack in their white Volkswagen at 6:13 a.m. Now, the normal routine is for Melissa to drop Mark off at his building, go to hers, and then pick him up at the end of the day. But today was different right from the start. Strange thing number 1. At 6:20 a.m., instead of going to her scheduled shift, Melissa's white Volkswagen is seen leaving the Los Alamos National Laboratory property. Strange thing number 2, Melissa sends an email to work saying something came up with her daughter and she was going to be a little bit late. But this is bizarre because there is nothing in the records that I've seen that would suggest anything did come up with her daughter, Sierra. She's at home, and she wakes up at around 7:30 a.m. for her own work shift, surprised to find her mom at the house. And when she asks why her mom is home, we get strange thing number 3. Melissa says that she came home because she forgot her work badge. But this is also super weird because Mark later tells police that he saw her hand it to the security guard at the guard shack. But at home, Melissa offers to make Sierra breakfast. And her daughter's like, well, don't you have to get back to work? And she basically tells her, you know what? No, I'm already late. Plus, Melissa says she might just stay home the whole day because she had errands to run. And then Sierra goes off to work and everything seems fine. At around 11 a.m., Mark needs their shared car, but he can't reach his wife on the phone when he tries to call her. Now, it's unclear why Melissa wasn't answering his calls at this time because we know she's available. We know this because around lunchtime, Melissa goes to a Subway and buys a sandwich that she drops off to her daughter at her work just before 1 p.m. Video footage collected by police that we've obtained confirms that she was in this area. Now, her daughter says that they talk and still, everything seems fine. At some point that day, Mark gets a call from Melissa's supervisor asking where she is. And Mark says this is when he first realized that she wasn't at work, and he becomes concerned that maybe he doesn't have a ride home. But he's not overly worried yet. He contacts their daughter, learns that Sierra had seen her mom that day, and so he asks Sierra to see if she can get a response from Melissa about whether or not he should catch a ride home with a friend. Mark tells police that Sierra said, yep, Mom says find a ride home. By 2:34 p.m., any texts going to Melissa's iPhone aren't being delivered in the normal way. They're delivered in a green bubble, not blue, which means either the phone doesn't have an internet connection or its iMessage is disabled. Concerned, Sierra leaves work and she gets home by 3 p.m. And this is when things really get weird. When their daughter gets to the house, she sees her parents' shared Volkswagen in the driveway, and she finds odd clues left behind in the house. Clue number 1, the door to the house is locked, but all of Melissa's things are inside, including her keys. And according to a police report, they're told no other keys are missing that could have been used. Along with her keys and her purse, her work phone, her personal phone, even her old phone are all there at the house. Clue number 2, her phones weren't just left behind. Both of her personal cell phones had been factory reset, completely wiped. Now, once Mark gets home and he sees everything Sierra found, he calls police to report his wife missing. And here is part of that 6-minute call.
New Mexico State Police, this is Tomas.
Yeah, this is Mark Casias. You know what? We cannot locate my wife. We haven't heard from her all day, and this is not like her. She doesn't do this, much less leave with all her phone and contact people. And she even left me walking. Not walking. I had to get a ride with one of my friends. I'm just out of it right now. I'm just trying to figure this out.
That's fine. I have an officer on the way, and they're going to go speak with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
When police begin taking statements, they learn that Melissa and Mark were struggling financially. She and her husband kept separate accounts, and though Melissa made about half what Mark did, she was in charge of paying a lot of the bills. One of her checking accounts was overdrawn by about $600, and they owed back taxes. Actually, that had recently come to a head, because these money troubles had more than just financial implications. According to Melissa's former supervisor, who spoke to police, this caused Melissa and Mark to lose their security clearance at work. Now, it didn't really affect Mark's role as a superintendent, but Melissa is an administrative assistant in a secure building, and when she lost the clearance, she had to be moved to a different site. Not the end of the world, but she was having performance issues on top of that. Now, Mark said their marriage was good. Even the financial stuff was getting figured out. Melissa had just told a friend that she was paying the IRS back. No biggie. Now, Mark gives permission for police to look around and take pictures. The house, while cluttered, doesn't show any signs of a struggle, though there are two things that stand out in Mark and Melissa's bedroom. Clue number 3. In the primary bedroom, there are a pair of boots on the floor in front of a fish tank. Now, Mark said he hadn't used those boots in forever. Even mentioned spider webs being on them. But the officer didn't see any spider webs. What he saw on the boots was mud. The right boot had dried mud on the sole, and the mud from the toe area down to the arch was wet. Clue number 4. Near these boots, they found another clue. Blood. Now, before you start jumping to conclusions, thinking something happened to Melissa in her home, and that she didn't even leave on her own or willingly, we spoke to the police, and they said the swabs they took of the blood are out for testing right now, and they don't know yet if it's human or not. But the blood's not the only reason for concern. Let me tell you about the next clue. The last sighting of Melissa. Clue number 5. Once word gets out that Melissa is missing, a family friend calls and says that he saw Melissa the day she disappeared while he was out on his lunch break. According to this man's statement, he was driving east on the way to a pull-off spot where he sometimes stops to eat his lunch. And that's when he passed a woman in jeans and a sweater walking in the same direction on State Road 518. Now, she looked familiar this first time he sees her, but he didn't really think much of it at the time. When he reaches the pull-off near Forest Road, he pulls out to eat his lunch and he calls his son. This is at 2:19 p.m. And then after he's called his son, he sees this woman again. She passes by him, walking briskly, head down. And this is when he's pretty sure it's Melissa. She's skinnier than he knew her to be, but we know from another person who police interviewed that she'd actually lost a lot of weight recently since she'd been put on thyroid medication. Now, this spot is about a 47-minute walk from their home, per Google Maps. So it wouldn't be that odd for her to be there, especially because she was known to take long walks, and the timing lines up, right? Like after dropping off the sandwich to her daughter, she could have gone home, then set out on that walk and made it to that spot he sees her at by 2:19 or so, right after he calls his son. Now, to be sure, when this guy finishes his lunch, he gets back on the road, drives further east. He sees the woman is still walking, and when he passes her this time, he is sure of it. It was Melissa Casias. And before you start questioning the family friend, police later get surveillance footage from a house right by where he was eating lunch that day that shows Melissa walking east at exactly 2:18 p.m. Now, by the time he realized that it was her, he couldn't just stop. He had to keep driving. But he wanted to stop and talk to her, see if she needed anything. So he found a place to turn around and drove to the area that he expected her to be at if she had kept walking in the same direction. But when he got there, just moments later, Melissa was gone. Which brings us to what might be our next clue. I'm going to call it clue number 6. The man tells police that where Melissa should have been, he saw a newer model, maybe like 2020, dark blue Dodge Ram long bed pickup truck in good condition with tinted windows. The truck was gaining speed like it had just been stopped prior and was driving east on State Road 518. So, was Melissa walking away from her life? Did she walk out there to meet someone who picked her up? Or was she just going for a long walk like she was known to do when she was met with foul play? Now, I think it's the latter because of the final clue. When a couple who knows Melissa was out participating in searches for her, they found a pile of clothes on the side of State Road 518 near the Amole Road intersection. This is a 15-minute drive from where the blue truck was spotted, and the clothes are found in the same direction that it was heading. Now, at the time, the couple wasn't sure if the jeans and sweater they had found were Melissa's, but the woman who found them said that there was a hair tie, like cinching the jeans, and that was something that Melissa was known to do after she lost weight. Now, police told us that the items found didn't match the description of what Melissa was last seen wearing. So they told us they haven't sent the clothes off for any sort of testing, though they still should have them in evidence should future testing be necessary. And that's it. There have been no sightings of Melissa Casias after 2:18 p.m. on June 26, 2025. But we are continuing to report on this, so expect an in-depth story on this case coming soon to Crime Junkie Podcast. And if you have any information you want to share with us for that episode, email us, tips@audiochuck.com. With every day that passes by, her family grows more and more desperate for answers. And they actually had a message for Melissa or anyone who has any information about her disappearance.
I go to bed thinking about her, wake up in the middle of the night, same thing, thinking about her. Where is she?
What we would love is if someone out there knows something, to be brave, if they have any love in their heart, to think what it would be like to go through something like this. And if they would just think about that, of what we're going through, that they would please try to have the heart to come forward and respond. Anything that they would give a tip of some kind to let us know so that so she can be found. That's all we need. We need to find her. We need to know where she's at.
She's my little sister. I need to know where she's at. I can't stop looking for her. I won't stop looking for her. She needs us to find her and bring her home.
Please, if anybody knows of someone out there, please come forward, and we really, really appreciate it.
Police are also asking for help. Anyone who lives in or may have been in Taos County, specifically in Talpa or Ranchos de Taos, or anyone traveling on or near New Mexico State Road 518 on June 26, 2025, please check any surveillance cameras you have or dash cams. We're looking for any sign of Melissa or anything that appears out of the ordinary. If you have footage to share or any tips, you can call the New Mexico State Police Dispatch at 505-425-6771. Through Crime Stoppers and her family, there is $7,500 in reward money available for information on Melissa Casias' whereabouts.